This podcast is brought to you by Crafted Arts and Veil Jewelry Workshop. But obviously, doing research, I don't want to go into too much because obviously I want to know about the acting side. Um, obviously, you're well known for the skepticism, but my grandfather and I were having a conversation earlier about this, and it's always like he says to me, or he believes, even though he's not an acting person, so I don't know where I'm going to go with this. He's always said a person who's against it was the complete opposite of what the character's going to play is always going to be really good. And I was like, well, what do you mean? What does he mean? What do you mean by that? So obviously I know with X-Files, it's all to do with extraterrestrial life, paranormal, etc. So when it comes to you, um, obviously because you're well known for skepticism, how do you approach characters like the cigarette smoking man in the content, the text and the stories that you are in within the X-Files? I hope I made that sense, so I do apologize if it didn't.
No, that's okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting, and I didn't have the same problem with this with X-Files as I did with another series that I did, which closed earlier, which only went a few episodes, but it was about um, um, what do you call them? Health remedies. They're or non-approved or what I forget the word I'm looking for, but uh, it was promoting pseudoscience basically in
Right.
in the health system, and I was uneasy about doing that because it did seem to be trying to promote pseudoscience in a way that I didn't think was safe or correct. And yet I did it, and it's probably just as well it didn't go on much longer. Um, I didn't have the same problem with X-Files because it was so clearly a fiction. This is a story, and these are the rules of the story. I mean, Batman has rules as well. I mean, people don't actually fly, and people who watch Batman don't think they're going to fly tomorrow or meet anybody who does. Uh, there's a coherent rule about it. Um, so in that sense, I was comfortable with it. Um, Now, I had problems with Richard Dawkins. Do you know of Richard Dawkins? He's my I don't want to say my mentor. I have met him, but he's the evolutionary biologist who I just bow to. Wrote the book, the Selfish Gene, about how humans function, um, and he made a speech in the 90s criticizing the X-Files. He said in the X-Files. A proposition comes up on every episode. Uh, there's a scientific solution and a pseudoscientific solution, and always the pseudoscientific solution wins, which would be Mulder's as opposed to Scully's. Um, so he felt the X-Files was promoting pseudoscience. And when I read that, I thought, oh dear, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Of course, it was the breakthrough of my career. Oh no, I just throw it away because I don't believe in promoting pseudoscience. But I protected myself because the other thing that Dawkins always proposed and still proposes is to base what you think on evidence. So he said, this show is promoting pseudoscience. But he actually had no evidence. He just assumed that if you do that in a show, people will believe in the pseudoscience. He has no proof. So I was doing all of these conventions and I would ask people, I would say, how many of you believe that there are aliens among us? And it was usually about 50%, which was what it was in the general public, people who didn't watch X-Files. So small sample, but my evidence showed that we weren't promoting pseudoscience. We're doing a play about pseudoscience, but we weren't uh, promoting it. So then I could relax continue with my career.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Creative Space Podcast channel. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified for more content in the future. Thank you once again.